Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Prescott. I'm here at PsychSync, Sync Psychology, and today we are going to be continuing Chapter 12, Social Psychology. Last time we spoke about what social psychology was, situational and dispositional influences on behavior, different ways of fundamental attribution error, all these basic things about how we have social scripts and norms and all this other good stuff, and why we have that. So today we are going to continue this chapter. So first we have motivation to conform. You have the normative social influence. People conform to the group norm to fit in, to feel good, and to be accepted by the group. And informational social influence. People conform because they believe the group is competent and has the correct information, particularly when a task or situation is ambiguous. So see here, figure A, they're all sitting quietly, so the social influence there is that, okay, I'm not going to stand up and start screaming, whereas image B, it's the complete opposite, everybody's screaming and freaking out. So next we have obedience, Stanley Milgram. So the change of an individual's behavior to comply with the demand by an authority figure. The Milgram experiment showed the surprising degree to which people obey authority. Participants were told to shock learners, the Confederate, for giving a wrong answer to test items, and participants believed that they were giving the learner shocks, which increased all the way up to 450 volts, which is a lot. Now, 2 out of 3, or 65% of participants, continued to administer shocks to an unresponsive learner. So, groupthink and group polarization. Groupthink is the modification of the opinions of members of a group to align with what they believe is the group consensus. Groups often take action that individuals would not perform outside the group setting because groups make more extreme decisions than individuals do. Members are less likely to express diverse opinions, which can lead to faulty decision making. Now, group polarization is the strengthening of an original group attitude after the discussion of views within a group. So does your opinion change when you find someone attractive but your friends do not agree? You guys can let me know in the comments if you want to. If we're in a large group of friends and you say something and they all disagree, does that change your opinion? Oh, whoops. Next one, not the same one. Next, we have social facilitation and social loafing. Now, social facilitation occurs when an individual performs better when an audience is watching than when the individual performs behavior alone. This usually occurs when people are performing a task for which they are skilled or an easy task. However, when people are nervous or less skilled, an audience may hinder rather than help. Next, we have social loafing, which is the exertion of less effort by a person working together with a group. It occurs when individual performance cannot be evaluated separately from the group. Group performance declines on easy tasks. However, when a task is difficult, people feel more motivated and believe that their group needs their input to do well on a challenging project. Next, we have prejudice and discrimination. So right here, we have a 1939 sign in German. Occupied Poland warns no interest for Poles. Here we have an image of an African-American man drinking in a colored water fountain because they weren't allowed to drink from a white water fountain back in 1939 during the era of racial segregation. And then you have the Westboro Baptist Church. It's a hate group that attacks people for their religion and sexual orientation. These are all forms of prejudice and discrimination. So understanding prejudice and discrimination. Now, prejudice is a negative attitude and feeling toward an individual based solely on one's membership in a particular social group. For example, I hate Yankee fans, they make me angry. Now, stereotype is a specific belief or assumption about individuals based solely on their membership in a group. So, for example, Yankees fans are arrogant and obnoxious. That's a stereotype. Now, discrimination is a negative action. So that's the difference between discrimination and prejudice. Prejudice is an attitude or feeling, while discrimination is an action. So it is a negative action toward an individual as a result of one's membership in a particular group. For example, I would never hire nor become friends with a person if I knew he or she were a Yankees fan. That's an action. Why do prejudice and discrimination exist? Well, we can blame social learning and conformity to social norms. So, types of prejudice and discrimination. Now, there's racism, which is prejudice and discrimination against an individual based on race. There's the dual attitudes model. Explicit means it's conscious and controllable, and implicit means it's unconscious and uncontrollable. Most people no longer show extreme racial bias on measures of explicit attitudes, but measures of implicit attitudes often provide evidence of mild to strong racial bias/prejudice. This can explain why modern forms of racism are hard to detect. Now, ageism is prejudice and discrimination toward individuals based solely on their age, and is typically against older adults. And homophobia is the prejudice and discrimination of individuals based solely on their sexual orientation. It often results in discrimination of individuals from social groups, and it's very widespread in U.S. society. So going further into detail, we have sexism. It is the prejudice and discrimination toward individuals based on their sex. Common examples include gender role expectations and expectations for how a gender group should behave. It consists on a societal level, affects employment and education opportunities. Women now have many jobs previously closed to them, though they still face challenges in male-dominated occupations. So you can see right here, this woman is serving in the military, previously couldn't, but she's probably facing a lot of challenges being in that male-dominated field. So, self-fulfilling prophecy and confirmation bias. Now, self-fulfilling prophecy is an expectation held by a person that alters his or her behavior in a way that tends to make it true. So stereotypes lead to expectations about that stereotype, which leads to you treat the person according to your expectations, which leads to that influence the person to act according to stereotypic expectations, which then confirms the person who had the stereotypical beliefs. Now, Rosenthal and Jacobson, 1968, disadvantaged students who had teachers that expected them to perform well had higher grades than disadvantaged students whose teachers expected them to do poorly. Now, confirmation bias is a tendency to seek out information that supports our stereotypes and ignore information that is inconsistent with our stereotypes. Next, we have in-groups and out-groups. An in-group is a group that we identify with or see ourselves as belonging to, while an out-group is a group that we view as fundamentally different from us. In-group bias, prejudice, and discrimination because the out-group is perceived as different and is less preferred than our in-group. So we want to feel good and protect our in-groups. Our forces that promote reconciliation between groups is the expression of empathy, acknowledgement of past suffering on both sides, and the halt of destructive behaviors. Scapegoating is the act of blaming an out-group, so a group that we view as fundamentally different from us, when the in-group experiences frustration or is blocked from obtaining the goal. Next, we have aggression, which is seeking to cause harm or pain to another person. You have hostile aggression, which is motivated by feelings of anger with intent to cause pain, for example, in a bar fight. Instrumental aggression, which is motivated by achieving a goal and does not necessarily involve intent to cause pain. This is typically displayed by women, and example, communication that impairs the social standing of another person. Frustration aggression theory is when humans are prevented from achieving an important goal, they become frustrated and aggressive. We have the evolutionary theory of aggression, which is that aggression serves an evolutionary function. Men are more likely to show aggression, and it likely serves to display dominance over other males, for example, to protect a mate or to perpetuate, there you go, the male's genes. Human males and non-human male primates endeavor to gain and display dominance over other males, as demonstrated in the behavior of these monkeys. They're yelling and fighting, trying to establish dominance. Now, bullying is the repeated negative treatment of another person over time. It includes the attempt to inflict harm, injury, or humiliation. It can include physical or verbal attacks, and it can also be psychological. Gender differences, boys tend to engage in direct physical aggression, while girls tend to engage in the indirect social forms of aggression, for example, spreading rumors, ignoring, or socially isolating others. Effects on the victim decrease mental health, including anxiety and depression, and may underperform in schoolwork. Now, cyberbullying is repeated behavior that is intended to cause psychological or emotional harm to another person, more common in girls, usually in those that have been victims of cyberbullying themselves. Next, we have the bystander effect. So Kitty Genovese, 1964, was attacked and killed with a knife outside her apartment building. Residents in the apartment building heard her scream for help numerous times but did nothing. So that shows bystander effect. Now, Latane and Darley, the bystander effect is the phenomenon in which a witness/bystander does not volunteer to help a victim or person in distress. This is based on the social situation and is not personality, or there's not personality variables. And the diffusion of responsibility is a tendency for no one in a group to help because the responsibility to help is spread throughout the group. You just assume somebody else is going to help. Next, we have prosocial behavior and altruism. Prosocial behavior is voluntary behavior with the intent to help other people. Altruism is people's desire to help others even if the costs outweigh the benefits of helping. Sorry, that picture distracted me. Anyways, so the events of 9/11 unleashed an enormous show of altruism and heroism on parts of first responders and many ordinary people. So, theories on the motivation to help, empathy. Empathy is the capacity to understand another person's perspective and to feel what he/she feels. Empathetic people make emotional connections with others and feel compelled to help. Altruism is a form of selfless helping, not motivated by benefits, and so you are feeling good after helping is a consequence, not a cause. And finally, on theory of motivation to help, is that helping is self-serving because our egos are involved and we receive benefits. You feel better after you've done something good for somebody else. So, moving on, we're just going to power through here and finish up these last slides for this unit. So, forming relationships. What influences who we become friends with and form romantic relationships with? Proximity, the people with whom you have the most contact, and similarity, people who are similar to us in background, attitudes, and lifestyle. Now, homophily is the tendency for people to form social networks with others who are similar. So, important concept or components of relationships. Reciprocity, the give and take in relationships. We contribute to relationships but expect to receive benefits in return. And then self-disclosure, or the sharing of personal information, which leads to more intimate connections. So many couples share a cultural background, as you can see here. Attraction. What features of a person do we find attractive? So universally attractive features, so for everybody, in women, physically, large eyes, high cheekbones, a narrow jawline, a slender build, and a lower waist-to-hip ratio. Social traits include warmth, affection, and social skills. Men, physical traits include being tall, having broad shoulders and a narrow waist. And social traits are achievement, leadership qualities, and job skills. Now, the matching hypothesis is people tend to pick someone they view as their equal in physical attractiveness and social desirability. So, Sternberg's triangular theory of love. 7 types of love can be described from combinations of 3 components: intimacy, sharing of details and intimate thoughts and emotions; passion, or physical attraction; and commitment, standing by the person. So here you have your 7 different types of love. You have liking, intimacy; romantic love, passion plus intimacy; infatuation, which is just passion; companionate love, intimacy plus commitment; empty love, which is just commitment; and fatuous love, which is passion and commitment. And finally, you have consummate love, which is a combination of all 3. So, Sternberg's triangular theory of love. According to Sternberg, consummate love describes a healthy relationship containing intimacy, passion, and commitment. Again, right here, it's healthy, it's got all 3, not just intimacy, not just commitment, and not just passion. Just having one isn't so good. So, finally, and then we're done with chapter 12, social exchange theory. What determines whether we are satisfied with and stay in a relationship? So the social exchange theory states that acting like naive economists, people may keep track of the cost and benefits of forming and maintaining a relationship. Typically, only those relationships in which the benefits outweigh the cost will be maintained. So that's a social exchange. You don't want to continue a relationship where the cost is greater than the benefits that's staying in that relationship. You don't want to be in that. It's not a good economic choice. Anyway, guys, that is the end of chapter 12. I'm sorry if I went a little fast, but I didn't want to go too slow and then only have 3 slides left for the next video, and it's a 30-second video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this chapter. And again, sorry, one second. And again, my name is Prescott. I'm here at PsychSyncs, the Sync Psychology. Please leave any questions or comments, about the video, whether I can do something to make it better for you guys, more entertaining. Please leave a comment. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you hopefully for the next chapter. Have a good day. Bye.